TV, where we bring you exciting developments on the Lagos transportation projects and initiatives. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Adeolu Ojo, Head of Environmental, Social Health and Safety Department of LAMATA. Dr. Ojo will provide valuable insight into the safety protocols relating to environmental protection and community engagement. My name is Kolawole Ojalabi. Dr. Ojo, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, sir.
Why health and safety in public transport projects implementation?
Okay. Yeah. First of all, we need to understand that when people travel, they want to get there safely. Therefore, health and safety is probably as important in terms of public transportation as the option. So, the essence of health and safety in public transportation is to ensure that passengers get there comfortably and safely. But beyond that, the people who live or walk around and along transportation routes are not adversely affected by the transportation activities. So basically, the essence of health and safety with regards to public transportation is to ensure that passengers get to their destination as quickly as possible and safely, while the people who live and walk around or along transportation routes are not adversely affected by transportation operations.
Okay, so when we say people who live along the route are not adversely affected by transportation, we're looking at emission and some other factors.
Among others, yes.
Okay, so we'll get there very shortly. So how does LAMATA ensure that infrastructure development doesn't compromise ecological integrity in urban communities?
Okay. Well, first of all, we need to understand that the activities of LAMATA towards transportation improvement are in two parts, three parts actually: the planning, the construction and implementation, and then the operations. Now, there are different kinds of issues associated with each of these phases. So the essence of LAMATA's activities is to ensure that we identify very early what the issues are likely to be for each of the phases and to plan to mitigate those negative options. For example, if we find that using diesel engines can cause emissions which are dangerous to human health, then we look at options. Why don't we use electricity, right? Which can reduce emissions. And so LAMATA's activities are planned to ensure that negative impacts on the environment and the people. Always note that it's not just the environment, it's also the people. So our activities are planned to ensure that we minimize impacts on the environment and the people. Now, how do we do that? Traditionally, there are international standards that guide such operations. For example, you hear something like World Health Organization emission limits, noise level limits, and things like that. But we are going beyond that. We're going into developing our own standards, which are specific and suited to our environment, so that we more than meet international standards. Yeah. So one of the things we're doing currently is developing our own in-house standards, which are designed to exceed the limits or standards of international organizations like the World Bank, the World Health Organization, the UN, and African Development Bank.
Okay. So, well, the next thing we'll ask is, What are the strategies in place to involve local communities in decision making for environmentally sensitive projects?
Thank you very much. That's a very good question. Now, first of all, we need to understand and remember that projects are meant for the people.
Mhm.
LAMATA is not doing this for itself. LAMATA is doing this for the people. So if any project does not carry the people along, it's a waste. Therefore, our standard approach is that we have a corporate stakeholder engagement and communication plan, which is adopted on a project by project basis to ensure that one, all stakeholders are adequately identified. Bear in mind that stakeholders are not limited to affected people. It also includes interested people. And when I say interested parties, there are people who operate NGOs that are based in maybe Kaduna, Abuja, Ibadan, but who have interests in, let's say, climate change, for example. And they will therefore come and raise issues about projects being implemented in Lagos. So stakeholder identification must ensure that it picks not only affected people, but also interested parties. Now, once we have identified them, then we engage with them and ensure that they are carried along at all stages of our project, starting from planning. Yeah, this, beyond ensuring that there is minimal to no issues, it's also advantageous for LAMATA because there is something known as background knowledge, which stakeholders might have that we do not have.
Wow.
And so when they bring it up, it's it's very useful in our planning and implementation. So we ensure that stakeholders are identified and they are adequately engaged and consulted at all stages of projects, starting from planning through implementation.
So maybe that's one of the reasons why Lamata has not been having issues on this project.
Very, very
Okay.
true. Very, very true.
Yeah.
Because there is no stakeholder that will not. Sometimes, I mean, you may note that some Lamata projects have actually had to wait a little beyond the original plan because we want to ensure that stakeholder engagement and consensus is adequately built before proceeding. So LAMATA ensures that all stakeholders are in consensus with our activities before we proceed with them.
Great, great. Okay, so what health and safety standards do Lamata enforce during construction and operation of its mobility project?
Yes, like I said earlier, there are international standards. But beyond the statutory international standards, we have local standards also. The Federal Ministry of Environment has standards and guidelines for different environmental components. And there is also the health and safety standards, which are applicable to workers on LAMATA projects. But beyond all of this, different lenders, people who support our projects, also have specific standards. For example, the World Bank has what they call their environmental and social framework, which guides activities. The African Development Bank has what they refer to as the integrated safeguard system, which ensures that the environment and the people are protected. The International Finance Corporation, IFC, has what they call performance standards. So on a project by project basis, where any of these international organizations are involved, we ensure that beyond the routine standards, we also carry into due cognizance their own standards so that as a minimum international standards are always met.
So there's going to be a blend of both international and local standards, so that to be sure that we are on the right path.
Exactly. That's actually one of the ongoing developments in LAMATA right now. We are developing what we call standard operating procedures, which highlight the normal activities we do. And for each one, we have procedural guidelines of how to do them and ensure that they meet as a minimum international standards.
Standard.
But of course, we aim higher. Like the saying goes, if you aim for the moon and you miss, you might just get the star. So we aim for the moon so that even if we now do not get the moon, we at least get to the stars of the international standard.
Okay, so you informed earlier that Lamata is developing, local standards. I mean, to blend with international standards. So, what innovation or new protocols are you considering to enhance environmental and social responsibility?
Yes, we have, like I said earlier, we have a corporate stakeholder engagement plan. But beyond that, we're also developing what is called a grievance management
Mechanism?
system, yeah,
Okay.
which is then adopted on a project by project basis,
Basis.
so that if there is any grievance, affected people are able, or interested parties are able to express their grievance, and there is a mechanism in place to ensure that those grievances are registered and efforts are made to resolve them as quickly as possible, so that of course there is the option of litigation as a last resort, but if we can avoid it, why not? So that's the essence of our grievance management system, to ensure that matters are resolved amicably and as soon as possible. That's one of the issues. Another system we are putting in place is monitoring. You see, when a recommendation to implement a mitigation, as it is referred to, something to bring down the a negative impact, beyond the recommendation, we monitor to ensure that that mitigation is actually working. Because you can make a recommendation and you find that, well, it's working, but not as well as we expected it to. For example, if you're doing a road construction in the dry season, and you have recommended that they should sprinkle water on the road surface to reduce dust. But then you find that the weather is so dry that you sprinkle water by 8 a.m. and by 10 a.m. is already dried up and then dust. So that alone will tell you that once is not enough. So we can then up it to maybe twice or thrice a day. That's the essence of monitoring. It helps us to identify how effective our measures are, and where the need arises, we can work on improvements.
Okay, I'm happy that you mentioned something about emission, environmental degradation, and what you are doing. I also know that recently Lamata engaged with Transport for London. They are helping us to ensure that we're able to have a standard environmental procedure. So, in terms of your discussion with them, what were the high points of your discussion, and how will whatever was agreed upon impact on transport projects in Lagos?
Yeah, thank you very much. That's the starting point of our engagement with Transport for London was to review our own environmental and social systems. And interestingly, to a very large extent, our system was in agreement with their own system. Okay. So now that assures us and makes us happy that we are moving along the right line. So now the high point of our agreement with them or our discussions with them is that having been in the system for much longer than us, they will have the advantage of experience. And so, as we develop these various procedures I talked about earlier, we will share with them so that they can provide very useful inputs, which can help us to come as close as possible to the kind of system that they operate there.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's the
Okay. So, well, as we coast home, I know that there are a couple of things that you want to advise the public about, particularly regarding what they're expected to do when a project is, going ongoing around their environment. Yes, people are curious; they see what is going on, but they don't understand, and so in the process, some of them are just, sticking out their neck, trying to look at what is going on. So, when projects are ongoing in our communities, what should be the standard interaction um, the average community person should have with the project?
Thank you very much for that very, very pointed question. It's a very, very well chosen question. Now, first of all, um you know that Lamata's activities are in two parts: the point location and then the mobile locations. Where we have point locations, it's easy to separate. And you will notice that there is no single Lamata site that is not adequately cordoned off. We always ensure that we cordon our sites and not just flimsy barricades. We use hard barricades so that any member of the public who strays in there is trespassing. And the reason we do this is because we know that project workers are fully aware of the hazards on their sites and are equipped to avoid those hazards, but not members of the public.
Okay.
So we do our best to keep them out so that they do not stray into areas where they can sustain accidental injuries. If somebody dies, God forbid, on the site, there will be a lot of issues arising from it. So we always try to prevent rather than provide solutions. Now, for the road work, that is more difficult to keep the public out. And so, what I would advise members of the public, please, if you have no business on work sites, stay away from there. We, on our part, will ensure that there are reflective markers around areas where we're working so that, and signage warning people to keep off. But beyond that, we will also do advocacy. And that's why whenever we're going into any particular location, we ensure that we meet with community leaders, opinion leaders, youth leaders, women leaders who have the voice to be able to speak to the people. So we ensure that they are well carried along and they in turn can tell their people to stay away from work sites. We realize that transportation projects in urban and heavily built up areas like Lagos can be very inconveniencing. But people have to endure because it is ultimately for their own good. For example, if you compare taking a train ride from mile 2 to Marina, 25 minutes, compare that with going by bus or driving
It's 7
yourself.
or 10 minutes.
You see? So, I mean, it's easier, it's safer, and even cheaper. So all of these things are being done for the people. The people are now being requested to kindly support LAMATA. We are doing this for you. We are doing this to keep Lagos moving safely, smoothly, and fast. So, Lagosians, please support us. Let's do this together.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, you heard from Dr. Ojo. The whole essence of the transport project in Lagos State is to keep you moving. And so for you to keep moving, please avoid project sites so that you will not get injured. So on behalf of the Lagos State government and Lagos Metropolitan Transport Authority, I want to say thank you for watching this program. Please always follow us on our social media handles, LAMATA Online. And if you have any question at all, you can send us an email at info@lamata-ng.com or call our numbers 09099526282 or 09115526282. Until I come your way another time, be good and pay your tax.